Oh, tashi dele everyone. Yeah, I hope all of you are doing okay. And welcome back to the Lojong class. Yeah, so before we start, take a moment to settle ourselves in the present moment. Do a few rounds of breathing exercise. Mm. Yeah, then refresh our refuge in Guru Buddha Dharma Sangha. On the basis of refuge, then generate altruistic motivation in order to utilize our rest of life in the most meaningful way. In particular, this very session to be most meaningful in creations of causes and conditions for numberless sentient beings, temporary happiness after the ultimate happiness of enlightenment. Sangye Jedan Zoye Jonala Janju Badu Dani Jazonje Daje Jinje Zonamje Dola Benje Sangye Dubarai Sangye Jedan Zoye Jonala Janju Badu Dani Jazonje Daje Jinzo Jebe Zonamje Dola Benje Sangye Dubarai Sangye Jedan Zoye Jonala Janju Badu Dani Jazonje Daje Jinzo Jebe Zonamje Dola Benje Sangye Dubarai Kange doje ne zone dawa damje pambe jire dambe jene denje be godam de la janje lo donye ni je zondo ju pe la ma je je kanje dendu chana be mo denje ya zo la so wan de zo da ju jin je semje damje dewa dang dewe ju dang dembra ju je semje damje dunga dang dunga je ju dang dawa ju je semje damje dunga me be dewa dang mi dawa ju je semje damje nyere cha dang ni dang dawe dang yo la ne bra ju ro je semje damje dewa dang dewe ju dang dembra ju je semje damje dunga dang dunga je ju dang dawa ju je semje damje dunga me be dewa dang mi dawa ju je semje damje nyere cha dang ni dang dawe dang yo la ne bra ju ro je Zemje damje dewa dan dewe ju dan dembra ju je zemje damje dunga dan dunga ju ju dan dawa ju je zemje damje dunga me ben dewa dan mi dawa ju je zemje damje nyere cha da nye dan da we dan nyo la ne bara ju ro je okay oh yeah So we are still studying A Will of Sharp Weapon by Dhammarashita. And we are on the page 150 if you're using the mind training, the Great Collection teaching volume. and that is on page 150. We are today on the verse 107. So the verse 107, similar to the earlier verse, this verse 2 show us the example of how things exist relatively, how things exist relatively, even though ultimately things do not exist in the absolute way, the way how we perceive, but relatively things do exist, even in our, conventional perception. So it says like this: when the fire at the end of the universe blazes in a dream, I feel terrified by its heat, though it has no intrinsic reality. Likewise, although hell realms and their likes have no intrinsic reality, out of trepidation for being smelted, burned, and so on, I forsake evil. I forsake evil, not forsake. I forsake evil. So, so first two line very much the example, and the last two line is the meaning. So in example, like such as in the dream that one feel terrified by the heat of the fire end of the universe, which regarded numberless times hotter, more distracted them than any of the heat, the fire, or any of the heat that we can imagine we can imagine, or we do experience within our lifetime in the present time, like the hottest the heat of the sun, and even the hottest heat of the any form of fire that we experience, comparing to the heat of the fire and of the universe, is nothing. So the fire end of the universe is the most destructive. It is very much that it consume the even the universe. That's how the universe come to exhaustion. So when we dream of that, how terrified that we go through, we feel, even though that dream has no intrinsic reality. That dream has no substance. That dream has no valid substance where you can really figure it out or find or feel in realistically um, the heat and the burning. The fear was very much established on confusion. The fear was very much established, you know, um, on the empty basis of such such blaze end of the universe, such a heat like the like the blaze of the end of the universe. So similar way, likewise, although hell realm, the hell, mhm, and they are alike, such as hungry ghosts, and animal realms have no intrinsic reality. Uh, mm, mm, but uh, but out of mm, there's no intrinsic reality. But out of fearfulness, but out of the fearfulness in relation to the unpurified being in our present moment, our unpurified aggregates, knowing that reality, you know, our beings is completely enveloped with false view, uh, um, enveloped with the delusions, enveloped with the ignorant. There's no capability for us to uh, directly perceive the reality. We don't have that capability. So knowing that, then um, we develop we develop fearful of the consequences of not purifying the delusion, the ignorant, and the karma uh, that will lead to uh, you know experience in the hell, like you know uh, boil our body, or the melt, boil our body within the metal liquid, uh, and body get melted, with tremendous sufferings, then burn in the in a, uh, you know most intense fire. So on, like such as how it described the eight hot hell, eight cold hell, all the way up to the Vajra hell. So when we read the description, through Lamrim, then those are, uh, you know, those are going to experience if we don't purify the causes, which is the ignorant. Which, if we don't develop the wisdom, which is the antidote, to the causes, to deliver us to experience those tremendous suffering of, suffering in the hell realm, and hungry ghosts and animal realm, etc. Then uh, we do going to experience the terrified fear, like how we do experience, terrifying fear, even when we dream, even when we, even uh, even in the even in the result of just simply have a dream of, burn, or burn by the heat of the end of the universe fire. So similar way, you see. So therefore, we need to forsake evil. Therefore, we need to forsake. Therefore, we need to forsake, uh, uh, negative actions, because negative actions are the one that uh, create the causes and condition to experience relative, uh, you know, uh, relative suffering, result. So if we create the interdependent relative causes and conditions of negative karma, then relatively the negative consequences going to experience it. So therefore, we need to forsake evils. We need to forsake negative actions. In order to forsake negative action, we need to forsake delusions. In order to overcome the delusion, we need to overcome the root cause of all the delusion, which is the self-grasping ignorant. And self-grasping ignorant, grasping to the true existence uh, of self and phenomena, and grasping of inherent existence on self and phenomena. So until we overcome that, then uh, even in its nature, there's no ultimate uh, suffering, but due to the interdependent relative, creation of causes, we're going to experience interdependent relative experiences of sufferings. So, so it's talking about that. When in feverish, verse 108, when in feverish delirium, although there's no darkness at all, one feel as if plunged and trapped inside a deep dark cave. So too, although ignorance and so on lack intrinsic reality, I will dispel ignorance by means of the three wisdoms. So again, the first two line, example, and last two line is the meaning. It is also talking about the um, uh, similar as before. Very much emphasizing how relatively things exist. Mm. So when our mind in a in a deep fear due to confusion, due to confusion, delirium due to confusion, although there's no darkness at all, one feel like plunged and trapped inside a deep dark cave. Even in the outer world, uh, you see, uh, there are moments, when we are in isolated places, unfamiliar places. Uh, mm, when we don't have a clear mind of the direction, then that tends to develop fear. Mm. And through those fear, then we experience, we are kind of like completely loss of directions, and we feel like trapped, uh, uh, hopeless, etc., etc. So similar way, emotionally, when our mind is not clear, or which meaning when our mind is very much delusionalized, then that develop fear. Uh, if we delusionalize, such as attachment grasping, then we develop fear of losing those things and objects that we attach to. Uh, when we develop aversion, the delusion of aversion, then we develop fear of you know um, meeting harmful harmful people, harmful events. Always fear that someone going to harm you, someone going to destroy you. That kind of hallucination, that kind of uh, that kind of fear develops due to the due due to the due to the corrupting in our mind, such as aversion. Then worse than that, if we develop wrong view, the wrong view. There are so many levels of you know um, so many different labels of wrong view, like wrong view in a karmic cause and effect, wrong view in a life and rebirth, wrong view uh, uh, in ultimate nature, in the wrong view on asserting of the ultimate nature of I and the rest of the phenomena, etc. Hallucinate our mind. It brings hallucination in our mind, confusion in our mind, and because of that, then we develop uh, uh, fear, and that we clearly can understand. um, that you see, due to like a person like me, equipped with all different corruption in our mind, um, all different delusions, all different confusions of delusions that equip. Attachment is there, aversion is there, ignorance is there, and the rest of the other delusions are there. And because of that, you see, in life there's so much fear, so much fear, fear of health, fear of death. You see, especially during this, pandemic period. Like everywhere you think about it, so much fear, so much fear. You see, uh, uh, you yourself, you feel very vulnerable. You feel your loved ones are in vulnerable, and when you hear someone, someone to whom you know that they are sick, they are dying, then like you can also roughly relate to yourself. Maybe I could, just matter of time, I may be also going to get sick, going to die, etc. So then there's a lot of fear of uncertainty in life. Everyone can relate to your individual day-to-day life. uh, there's so many different levels of fear occur in our mind, isn't it? Fear in relation to job, fear in relation to relationship, fear in relation to uh, things that we really want to achieve, fear of not achieving them, and fear of wish to purify, but somehow that because of not knowing really the purification happened or not, and we fear of them. So there's all sort of fear that occur, isn't it? Why all this fear occur? Because of our mind is confused. Our mental faculty is uh, you know disordered. Our mental faculty is corrupt by the delusion. You see, and because of that, our life feel um, um, our life feel like completely in a completely like a trap, deep inside, like trapped in the deep inside a dark cave, where there's no light at all, where there's no way out at all. You see, um, that sometimes you feel in your life, you are kind of trapped. You are kind of trapped, in every situation, in every direction you look, direction in relation to relationship, direction in relation to job, direction in relation to the well-being of family, direction in relation to your own health, your own life, your own status, of the journey of life. Like everywhere, there's kind of blockage. You see, everywhere you see, there's kind of a blockage. There's no perfection. There's no way out. Like everything is like coming to exhaustion, coming to disaster. And sometimes we feel like that. And even we may not feel like that if we don't practice Dharma. We will go through that kind of period. You see, because practice Dharma means clear away the cloud of confusion in our mind, and the cloud of delusional confusion in our mind. You see, as long as we're able to clear away the cloud of delusional confusion in our mind, then uh, no question about rest of the problem, ups and downs comes in our way, can overcome. But when we face even when we face chronic sickness, and even when we come to face death, if doctors say that you have only one day to live, you know, your heart will be free of fear. Your heart will be free of fear. You see, otherwise, uh, even when we are quite okay, we have roof on our head, we have food in the fridge, our health is still okay, we can move around. You see, there's no kind of terminal illness that doctors say that you're going to die within one day, whatever. Still, there are so much, so much, unsettled, unease our mental state. Then it's quite sure that when we go through the uh, you know very last stage of old age, and which with very much then different type of sicknesses, and the death comes. It's going to be very hard. It's going to be very hard to handle ourselves. You see, and you can see that even in many Dharma practitioners, even some Dharma teachers, who conduct, so many uh, scholarly teachings, Dharma wisdom, but when themselves go through um, like terminal ill, when you were alerted by, you are getting near to the death, and you are freak out. You see, you're unable to control your mind. You're completely filled with fear. You completely kind of get completely lost your direction. You see, uh, so in that very moment, even the Dharma wisdom that you study is very much like there's no relation to you. It's like separated from you. You see, and these are the result of didn't apply the Dharma in our day-to-day life. You see, if you ask question, do you know this and that teaching? And that person will answer, yes, I know exactly from which text is coming from, which Buddha have spoken, which teacher have spoken, and you may even able to recite in your memorization, you may recite in your heart, but that word only remained up to here, but never really went down from here to the heart. You see, meaning that that wisdom of Dharma never went into the meditational level. You see, so meditational level, then application in our day-to-day life. You see, because of that, because of that, you see. So therefore, therefore, um, you see. So therefore, Dharma learning is, of course, is most important. Then Dharma, contemplation on Dharma, rationalizing uh, Dharma in relation to your own experience, even more important. Then uh, habituating Dharma in our continuum, kind of replacing in our continuum Dharma wisdom from the delusions, the delusional habituation that we have accumulated in our heart, that has to be, have to replaced by Dharma nectar, replaced by habitual, accumulation in the Dharma wisdom. So that has to happen. You see, so until that is not happening, then during good time we are okay. But when the negative situation comes by, then we will be not much different from the rest of the others that who have not learned Dharma. That who anyone, when death comes, everyone freak out. When the death and sickness come, anyone, including the you know generals and the kings, doesn't matter, all same, all same. You see, so that's why in the Lamrim, um, when the real difficult time comes, only the Dharma, nothing else can able to help us. Meaning, when the death comes, nothing else except Dharma, except Dharma, nothing else can able to help us to overcome the fear, overcome the suffering. You see, so like that. Mm. So you see, so in our day-to-day life, we should not feel that we are, uh, trapped in the no directions, in a dark time, even how difficult situation that comes in our way, that we need to train to utilize the Dharma wisdom. You see, like such as uh, impermanent. You see, when almost every samsaric people go through, go through difficult time. we already been through a lot of difficult times since born into this world up to today. Just matter of how intensity it is, you see. So now is the time that whether it's a small difficulty or whether it's a huge tragedy comes in our way, we try to heal uh, the confusion and the fear by the application of Dharma wisdom. If it possible, you apply emptiness. If not, at least wisdom of impermanent, by simply regarding that, uh, you know, nothing lasts, and this problem too will not last. It lies in the nature of it lies in the nature of change. You see, so that way you console yourself. You help yourself to get out of that fear and confusion, and try to calm yourself and steadily continue to focus on the meaningful things. Like cultivation of love, compassion, happiness, virtue, dharma, etc. You see, so like that. Mm. Mm. So you see, so therefore, uh, even though the fear, delusion has no intrinsic existence, uh, but still, because of the confusion, like delusions, we generate fear and we feel suffer. You see, but that also can be overcome. That also can be overcome by application of wisdom. So similar way, so too, although ignorant and so on lack intrinsic existence. So ignorance are lack of mm, mm, mm. Yeah. So I think my earlier uh, interpretation, because of distracted, so I may not able to interpret and relate exactly. So so I think the meaning here is that even though there's no intrinsic darkness, like a dark cave, uh, whether we want to relate that in the conventional um relative outer world, or whether we want to relate that in our emotional world, even though there's no such intrinsic darkness, um, physically, like the cave darkness, as well as emotional darkness, but that can be overcome. So similar way, although the ignorant also lack intrinsic reality, um, uh, so too, although ignorance and so on lack intrinsic reality, although ignorance and so on lack intrinsic reality, uh, so therefore ignorant, how nasty the ignorant play the role to bring suffering to us, uh, and the rest of the delusion, how nasty it is, but their nature lies uh, in a lack of intrinsic reality. So their nature lies in the lack of intrinsic reality. Because of their nature lies in the lack of intrinsic reality, I will dispel the ignorant by means of the three wisdom. So therefore, through the applications of the antidote, I can able to overcome them. If the ignorant and the rest of the delusions are exist intrinsically or exist inherently, then by applying antidote won't be able to purify them. You see, so those delusions can be purified because of what makes possible. How wonderful that ignorant can be purified. Uh, it's not because ignorant is wonderful, because it is nature is wonderful. It is nature where it lies is wonderful. What is the nature? The nature is lacking of intrinsic nature. So empty of intrinsic nature, so um, lack in intrinsic reality, you see. So because of that, so we can able to apply the antidote and it can purify it, such by applications of three wisdom: the wisdom of uh, wisdom of study, wisdom of contemplation, and wisdom of meditation. You see, so study the emptiness, contemplate on emptiness, then actualize the wisdom of meditation, and through these three steps, you can able to overcome the ignorant. You can able to dispel the ignorant and rest of the delusions. So verse 109 and 110, the verse 109 is very much, example. Verse 110 is very much the meaning. And here it is talking about the teaching on the dependent arising. Earlier we talked about how you see directly, try to learn about how things and events exist relatively, even though its nature lies in the lack of intrinsic reality. So now it's about dependent rising, how things exist interdependently in with the understanding of what you call the actualize the existence on the basis of understanding of how things exist interdependently. So it says, when a musician plays a song with his violin, it proved there's no intrinsic reality to the sound. Yet melodious tune arise through aggregation of unproved fact and soothe the anguish that lies in the people's heart. So you can understand, even in the lack of intrinsic nature, through interdependent cause and condition, how the effects, of how effects are actualized. So, such as the musician, when play a song with the violin, there's no intrinsic reality to the sound. When without observing, without observing how things exist, where the sound exists, just blindly, in the first glance, of apprehending the sound, you see, you apprehend sound very much exists from its own side. You see, even though there's no intrinsic reality to the sound, even though there's no intrinsic reality to the sound, but then you very much apprehend intrinsically sound is arise, from either from the person, or either from, if the violin sound, then the sound arise intrinsically from the violin. If the song is played by the musician, the singer, then even though there's no intrinsic reality of that sound exists within the singer, but then in the first glance, it appear like arising from the singer. You see. Here melodious tone arise through irrigation of profound. So then, if you analyze further beyond the first glance, first apprehension of the musician and the sound, then the melodious tunes arise through irrigation of unproved fact, and soothe the anguish of lies in the people's heart. So then you will start to realize that the sound do not exist intrinsically from the violin. The sound do not exist intrinsically from the musician. You see, sound in fact, actualize from this from the gathering of so many different factors. You see, the the music, the combination of the aggregations of the musician, um, then the music instruments, or then even the what do you call uh, mm, the tune, uh, then all the what do you call mm, yeah, you know the discipline that you goes with the playing of music, from there, then combination of all the uh, uh, all those factors, then you realize that there's a beautiful sound, beautiful soothing sound come out, and that anguish the people's heart. You see, so that brings soothing to the people's heart, and that dispel uh, on the basis of um, analysis. Then it dispel the misconceptions of the sound intrinsically existing from the musician, or from the object, you see. Mm. So similar way, likewise, when karma and its effect are thoroughly analyzed, though they do not exist intrinsically, one or many, vividly appearing, they cause the rising and cessations of cessations of phenomena, seemingly real. They experience birth, death of every kind. So within this mere appearance, I will follow the ethical norms. So similar way, mm, uh, karma, karmic cause and effect, karma it is effect. Mm. In another word, every experiences that we go through, every samsaric experiences, every spiritual experiences, all the way up to delivering enlightenment, everything, if you analyze thoroughly, beyond the first apprehension, beyond the first glance, if you analyze beyond that, further than that, and you will realize that they do not exist intrinsically. One with the basis, or many with the basis, or even one with the subject, and many with the subject. You see, in another word, uh, every experiences do not exist, one with our perception, or many with our many perception, um, one with the object of of main basis of where you apprehend that experiences of the karmic cause and effect, or on the many factors do not exist intrinsically, even on the many different factors. You see, even the karmic experiences comes from gathering of many factors, uh, but if you investigate uh, on the basis of the earlier confusion that these karmic experiences, either the cause and effect, may pervade within all these different many factors. But if you go to analyze it, you cannot find, intrinsically, or even one substance within any of them. You see, you will only come to a conclusion of void of the existing, uh, uh, in any basis, whether you analyze on the subject or on the object. So vividly appearing, they cause and rising cessation of phenomena, seemingly real. You see, so in the first glance, in our uh, unanalyzed, sensual perception, uh, when apprehend anything, when apprehend the appearance, appearance of delusions, appearance of sufferings, including appearance of nirvana, they causes the rise and cessations of phenomena seemingly real. You see, they, you tends to understand that that samsara is real, and the cessation from the samsara also, seemingly real. Real in the sense that seemingly, intrinsically exists in real. You see, in absolute. Uh, you see, so so in that vivid appearance, uh, including the birth and the death within the stylic existence, and the rest of the other, samsaric experiences, uh, within that mere appearances, within that mere hallucinated appearances, uh, you within their mere hallucinated appearances, there is an experience of pain. There is an experience of suffering. You see, uh, within that mere appearances, uh, there is a state where you can purify, those miserable experiences, and you can able to actualize the cessation. Now you see, so because of that, then there's a reason to follow the ethical norm. You see, so there's a reason to follow the ethical norm. The reason of saying that, if samsara and nirvana are one in one taste, if samsara and nirvana do not exist intrinsically, if samsara and nirvanas are, just view of your hallucinated mind, then you may think that, then what's the point? What's the point of, forsaking evil, and what's the point of following the ethical norm? We may have that kind of doubt, isn't it? Mm. Mm. So, yeah. But the thing is that but the thing is, all those, experiences in the relative world are, what's it, are real in the relative norm. You see, and we do live in the relative world. You see, as long as we carry the confused mind, as long as we carry these contaminated aggregates. So as long as we carry the contaminated aggregates, that long that we have to experience, the samsara or the suffering. That long we won't be liberated. We won't attain the cessation. You see, so therefore, in the relative world, in the relative existence, the sufferings are real. You see, sufferings are real, and causes of sufferings are also real. You see, so so therefore, uh, uh, therefore that therefore we need to, we need to come to an understanding that relative experience of the samsara and sufferings are byproduct of its causes. Relative in the sense that interdependent relative, in the interdependent relative, that we do, go through all those experiences. So therefore there's a cause for that. Since in the interdependent relative world, that you experience the negative side, you also can able to experience the positive side. if we able to accumulate the interdependent conducive causes in the relative existence. You see, so uh, so by following the ethical norm, we able to overcome the negative uh, experiences in the hallucinated relative existence. Uh, that way we can able to achieve the cessation, from the karma and its causes. So due to this reason, uh, there is a reason that uh, to purify the evils and accumulate the ethical norm. You see. Mm, mm. So as mentioned before, that mm, whether we continue to experience the negative side of the relative world or the positive side of the relative world is very much dependent on the transformations of our perception. Transformation of perception. Uh, Once we transform our perceptions are filled with the wisdom, then uh, you see, uh, we don't have to experience the suffering consequences. Uh, as mentioned before, that the suffering comes from very much from the grasping, the false view, the hallucinations, the delusions. The delusions are the one that which bring fears, which bring suffering. You see, so mm, mm, uh, mm, yeah, like that. Like very much, in the scriptures, given an example of uh, you know the the viewer of the magician's performance. Mm. From magician from the stick, it actualized magician's performance, uh, um, and it bring the impact to the emotions of the viewers. And for the viewers, because of the grasping, you know, that particular uh, performance of the magic is real, so therefore emotionally get affected. But for the magician, uh, knowing the absolute truth on that stick, that which spelled by the magic substance, only bring about such performance. But in actual reality, there's no such reality in there except that stick. So there's no grasping apprehension is there. So you see, so once we realize emptiness, then even though in the relative world that we live in, uh, we experience, um, you know, we experience without its impact. You see, uh, because we have an understanding of that relative world in a different way. You see, uh, very much, you apprehend that relative experiences without grasping, because you know the fact that it just appear in the creation, by the creation of delusion. It appear, so-called as a pain, so-called as a happiness, but in absolute reality there's no intrinsic, such such called suffering and such called happiness, such called negativities and such called positivities. You see, so 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 you see, so you can relate to the world with you know with a total different understanding. You see, so because of the purified mind, with the mind of wisdom, you apprehend the our day to day life. Uh, you see, very ease, without the samsaric impact, uh, without the samsaric impact. Even though the day comes and go, things comes and go. Like weather, changes from winter to summer. Mm? Uh, our life, you know, experience healthy to unhealthy, even death, life to death, etc. But the subject, understand the absolute reality. Your focus is on absolute reality. The rest are very much like kind of uh, like what you call the illusional performance. You see, um, it's merely like illusional appearances. You don't see there's any substance to grasp, substance to hold on to. So because of there's no grasping, uh, that you don't have to experience this samsaric way. You don't have to experience samsaric way. You see, so that is the benefit. That's the benefit. Mm. So so therefore, as a verse, giving a reason that follow the ethical norm and forsake the evil. Uh, so these are valid. These are valid even though there's no intrinsic reality in the relative existence. In the relative existence, there's no intrinsic. There's no intrinsic existent. There's no inherent existent. You see, but still, the I would say, since everything is experience of the mind, our mind is not purified, then we continue to experience the suffering. So as long as our mind is liberated, entire existence is liberated. Entire existence is purified. You see, so something like that. Then verse 111 and 112. The first one is very much the example, and 112 is very much the meaning. So when the drops of water fill a vase, it is not the first drop that fill it, nor at last drop or each drop individually. So through the gathering of dependent factor, the vase is filled. So this is the example. Likewise, when someone experiences joy and suffering, the effect, this is not due to the first instant of their cause, nor it is due to the last instant of the cause. Joy and pains are felt through the coming together of dependent factor. So within this mere appearance, I will observe ethical norm. So we can clearly understand, um, you know, when the drops of water is filled in the vase, it is not the first drop that fill it. Even the first drop contributed, but we don't conclude by saying the first drop is the one that filled the vase, or we ignore the first drop and only regard the last drop is the one that filled the vase. Or individually one by one. It is just a collective accumulation that bring about feeling of the vast. You see, so all experiences, exhaustion and accomplishment, everything does not arise from one entity, arise from so many different interdependent factors, interdependent factors. So so such like the gathering of dependent factor that fill the vase, Likewise, when someone experiences, like a joy, we experience joy and the suffering effect. It is not the first instant of their cause. You see, um, so it's not just one cause. That first one, not it's due to the last instant of the condition. So there are accumulation of the initial cause. Within that initial cause also, there is not only one. There are so many different causes have to come together. Then in the immediate factor condition also, not just one condition. There are so many different conditions that come together. So joy and pain felt through coming together or dependent factors. So therefore, if we purify the entirety of the past karma and the present condition, present negative condition, that we can able to purify the suffering experiences. If we gather, if we continue to accumulate all the positive, causes, and continue to stay close to, gathering of the, virtuous conditions, then without any doubt that we can able to experience, only the joy, or the joy, happiness. You see, so therefore, that's the reason why we need to observe ethical norm. Mhm. So therefore, when we go through suffering, we cannot. There's no one single thing to be blamed. You see, there's no one single thing to be blamed. There are so many causes and conditions. You see, and when we start to understand the factor of our sufferings are caused by so many different, causes and conditions, our grasping also tends to, scattered. Dismantle. It's not kind of like concrete focus on one idea. You see, and that even that alone able to help relax our mind. You see, and more than that, if we know that the sufferings comes from, comes from causes and condition, then we gain hope that suffering can be overcome. If you can able to eliminate the cause and condition, you can able to eliminate the cause, eliminate the suffering. And not only that, since we understand that suffering is painful, so therefore, we will do not wish to experience in future. So if we do not wish to experience future, then we will understand that we need to, we need to protect ourselves from committing such causes and conditions, bring such kind of suffering in the future. So it brings, purification of the past karma as well as the protection for the future, karmic consequences. If we tend to relate our experiences by product of cause and conditions, or in the nature of karmic law, cause and effect. So similar way, if we know that our happiness and the virtues, our happiness and the virtuous qualities are byproduct of past, right causes and conditions, then since it is likable phenomena, and you wish to experience such similar virtues and the result of such virtues like joy in the future, then on the basis of understanding of karmic law, cause and effect, you tends to protect the past virtues, and you tends to accumulate future causes for the causes for future happiness, which are the accumulation of virtues. So, so you see, so through that, then we will engage in the purification practices. You see, if we don't have the idea of the sufferings are a result of cause and if lies in the nature of cause and effect, then we will not put effort in purification. So if we don't purify the past karma, then the suffering result is to be definite. Not only definite for one time, but it will uh, it will further accumulation of more negativities in the future. You see, so similar goes to the virtue. If we understand the value of the the uh, the virtues, because it brings joy, it bring positivities, then we will protect them. So like such as if we we will protect ourselves. We will protect our virtues by not generating negative emotions like anger, like that. We will start to understand how destructive negative emotions like anger will destroy past virtues, which are very powerful causes for happiness that you aspire for. you know and not only that, your continuum will be always uh, you know always accumulate only virtues, that you aspire only happiness. So therefore you only accumulate virtues. Mm. So knowing karmic law, cause and effect, this kind of help that we can able to get benefited. So then verse 113 are so utterly delightful when left analyzed. uh, This world of experience is devoid of any essence. Yet it seems as if it is really does exist. Profound indeed is this truth, so hard for the weak to see. Hmm? So the first line: if phenomena are not analyzed from ultimate point of view, then apprehend truly. Uh, then apprehend truly delightful. Hmm? Hmm? So phenomena are not analyzed from ultimate point of view. If phenomena are not analyzed from ultimate point of view, then apparently, um, no, apprehend, then apprehend truly, delightful. Mm. Uh, this word of appearance is devoid of any essence. I mean, if this word is analyzed from ultimate point of view, then you will see things are devoid of essence. Mm. Even though the fact is like that, seems it is really does exist. I and the rest of the phenomena, really does exist. Even though the reality, as mentioned from the first two words, yet it seems if it really does exist. So therefore, emptiness is profound indeed. This truth so hard for the weak to see. So it is very hard for weak-minded, weak in the sense that weak from the wisdom, weak from the study on emptiness, weak from the analytical capability in emptiness, meditation in emptiness. If we are weak in that, if we are weak in the three wisdoms in emptiness, then it is very hard to understand the ultimate reality, and very hard to understand how the false view lure us or cheat us. Mm. So in another way of understanding, it's like it's very much it's like kind of like a shocking kind of expression. So utterly delightful when left analyzed. You see, if we don't analyze, it is ultimate nature of what we apprehend in our relative world, then all look as if it's real, and all the happiness, like all the sensual pleasures, we will be very much, feel enjoyed, feel delightful, as if there's something, something, uh, um, something inherently or something in the essence that we can able to feel delightful. You see, uh, there's something out there to be delightful in our, when we apprehend them without wisdom analyze them. You see, such like object of the five senses. You see, like object of our eye perception. So whenever we see beautiful things, we feel excited, we feel delighted, uh, and we pursue to achieve that object. Why you pursue to achieve that object when you like something out there? It's because of you apprehend there's a substantial existence in that. You apprehend uh, there's intrinsic reality in that object. That's why you pursue to have them. That's why you pursue to achieve them. You see, but the same object, if you further analyze, where does how does that your mind apprehend them? How does your mind perceive them? And where does that liking phenomena really exist? Where, on the object? If you analyze that, then you come to a point that there's nothing to be desirously attached. There's nothing to be desirously be excited. You see. Uh, so some people may say, then what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with desirously excited in something that you like? What's wrong with desirously wanting to have something that you like? There's nothing wrong with that. People may think like that, but in absolute reality, that brings sufferings, because you misapprehend to something. You misapprehend to something which is not true, and you apprehend it in a mistaken object. You see, so just matter of time. Just matter of time, whether to do with the subject or whether to do with the object, the things will not last the way how you believe at the first place, how you perceive on the first place, how you hope from the object side in the first place. You see, so in our in our samsaric experiences, everything is like that. You see, you like something, you have something, but then they never stay the satisfaction there, and that proves that we apprehended wrongly, to the wrong object. You see. Then you may say, yes, fine, okay, but still, but there's nothing big harm from that. You see, yes, as an ordinary person, I may like something, I can have something, and if I lose interest, I can avoid them. I can move on with that. You may think, in relation to relations or possessions or anything that you like, you may think that Why we need to squeeze so much of our brain with the emptiness wisdom? Why we need to try so hard with the empty try to learn to apprehend in the emptiness view? Why we need to be so hard? We may think like that, isn't it? The main reason is that hallucinational grasping, while you are having those things liking in your way, you accumulate a lot of negative causes. You accumulate negative accumulations, uh, which will eventually lead to a samsara, which will tie you in samsara for a long time. That's the main problem. Uh, then you may say, okay, fine, I can, as long as I can have things that I enjoy, I like, even I misapprehend wrongly, but I still essentially enjoy, and even I need to remain in samsara for some time, no worries. You may think like that, but the problem is that the samsara gets harder and harder, thicker and thicker, darker and darker. Uh, the more you indulge in the samsaric experiences, the more you indulge um, delusionally in the sensual objects, the more you grasp, the samsara become more and more darker place, more and more longer time to remain. You see, uh, hmm. so then you may say, okay, fine, but I don't really understand that, how dark it is, but I still, enjoy having those things. But the thing is that even in our, day-to-day life, there are so many things that we feel unpleasant, you see, and these are the impact of samsara in our day-to-day life, that you are not fully satisfied from the thing that you have and from the thing that you wish to have. You are not fully satisfied. Always there's a lot of dissatisfaction in our mind, isn't it? And you don't appreciate that, isn't it? And these are all impact of samsara, impact that you accumulated uh, from the similar kind of action that, like such as the, delusional, you know, um, um, grasping, to the sensual objects. You see, and on top of that, you have the potential to have the everlasting happiness. You see, if you just understand the truth of the false view, uh, and the limitations of the grasping to the objects, to the essential objects, and you get to renounce them, and you tend to put effort and stay focused on the wisdom side, you have a full potential to actualize everlasting happiness. And those everlasting happiness are uh, genuinely, by nature it is happiness, not like the essential happiness, by nature it is suffering, you see. So therefore, so that is the reason why emphasizing that must observe the ethical norm, you know, uh, you know, must understand the emptiness, you know, uh, must put effort to understand the emptiness, must learn to view things, uh, you know, in through emptiness wisdom. You see, through emptiness wisdom. You see, like illusional, like a dream, like uh, when we relate our senses to the objects, try to view them like illusional, like you see, and when we have opportunity, meditate on the voidness of the intrinsic existence. You see, so that way, then we will not be in the category of weak one, that who is so hard to understand emptiness, so hard to relate things with emptiness. We will be the wise one, like the Arya Bodhisattvas, like the Buddhas. We too can be just like them, uh, to to apprehend things, totally in a blissful way. You know, we can have more than what you wish. In this ordinary mind. We can have the entire blissful world. You see, we can have the unexhaustible bliss, unexhaustible qualities, perfected, qualities. You see, so so therefore, so this verse is very much teaching us that emptiness is hard, but we must put effort. We shouldn't fall in the category of a weak one. Who's so hard to understand the emptiness. You see, so so how to make ourselves free from this. What you call in the category of the being in the weak one is to study, contemplate, and apply the teaching, apply the emptiness teaching in our day-to-day life. As mentioned before, in our normal day-to-day, when we relate to things, anything that we relate to our thinking, relate to our eye senses, hearing senses, taste, touch, everything interpret like illusion alike. Illusion alike. Can try to, try to deconstruct the grasping. Then, try to find as much as time possible, day to day, to remain in the absorption meditation, on emptiness wisdom. So this is the way that we can improve ourselves. So otherwise, we will be continue to get distracted, because in the confused world, confused things are delightful. You see, so in a, like exactly what they say. So utterly delightful when left unanalyzed. So if we live unanalyzed in the emptiness wisdom, then everything looks okay. You see, everything looks okay. Everything looks beautiful, delicious, pleasant sound, nice feeling. You see, but but continue to remaining in that, then when the major samsaric events like sickness and death comes in our way, then it will traumatize us. You see, so the more we apply the emptiness view to our sensual objects, when we relate to sensual objects, then when these drastic events comes in our way, we can too able to look at them in an illusional way. You see, so our emotion will be not affected. So that way we open the pathway to really emerge ourselves in the one taste in the voidness of Dharmakaya. You see, voidness of Dharmakaya. Then there won't be any kind of fear, confusion about losing most attached things like our body, our identity, our loved ones. We will feel that we are simply emerging into one taste, in the actual absolute reality. Whether we live, whether we pass away, whether we are healthy, whether we are sick, the ultimate the taste of the ultimate reality is one taste. There's no two different. There's no two different reality. There's no two different ultimate reality in the healthy persons, in the healthy me and unhealthy me, living me and dead, died me. You see, there's no two different ultimate reality essence of my this life and my future life. You see, it all comes into one essence. You see, so since all emerge into one essence, then why I need to be fearful of losing something, going away from something, or becoming something else. Why you need to fear? You are not becoming something else. You are not losing something else. You are not going away from something else. You see, you're just simply remaining in the same essence. It's the same essence, you see. So therefore, from this point of view, now you see clearly how important for us to release the hallucinational, hallucinational view on the relative world. You see, hallucinational, yeah. Release the grasping to the hallucinational relative world. So when you release the grasping to the hallucinational relative world, then when something's relatively separating from you, you just regard like an illusion. You can still apprehend in the manner of how you apprehend the illusion. That there's no core essence in that. So as long as you have that idea, then you don't grasp so hard. So when you don't grasp so hard, it is easier to let go, whether to do with our day-to-day emotional experiences, or even when it comes to departing from this life, etc. You see, so this world of appearance is devoid of essence. Yeah. So in actual fact, this world of appearance is devoid of any essence. In this relative world of appearances is devoid of any essence in its absolute reality. So that we need to understand. Yet it seems as it is really does exist. So even though the world of the relative existence devoid of any essence, but we apprehend as if it really exists from its own side, or substantially existing. It seems if it really does exist in its essence, substantially, inherently, absolutely. This is how like uneducated our mind, uneducated, unwisdom mind will believe like that. So therefore, this emptiness wisdom is profound indeed. Profound indeed, this truth, the emptiness, the absolute reality, so hard for the weak to see. So it's saying like that. Okay, verse 114. Now, as I place my mind on this truth in total equipoise, what is there that retain divine appearance? What exists and what does not exist? What thesis is there anywhere of is or is not? So it's very much like now when you are observe in meditative equipoise on this, what is there really to a mere appearances? What is there really to a mere appearances? How can either exist or non-existent? How can either existent or non-existent exist? How can anyone, anywhere, how can anyone, anywhere affirm it is or it is not? Now, as my now, so in the Geshe Zopa's commentary, it says, when you put the realizations of emptiness into meditative practice in one-pointed meditative absorption, the negation of inherent existence will appear clearly, and there will be no appearance of conventional phenomena. Everything will have the one taste of emptiness, and the variety of conventional phenomena will not appear. At that time, non-existent itself will be seen not to exist inherently, and the mind will dissolve in its own emptiness like water dissolve in water. Both absolute existent and absolute non-existent will totally disappear. There's no valid thesis that things exist or things do not exist. They will all vanish. From the ultimate point of view, in both Sutra and Tantra, there are statements that everything is the same, that there is no difference between good and evil, or between samsara and nirvana. Such statements are true only in light of the realization of emptiness. From the conventional or common sense point of view, these statements are reckless and crazy. uh, uh, so, yeah. So in the relative truth, we cannot say samsara and nirvana is the same. Suffering and happiness is the same. They are in a two different entity, relatively, because it has two different entity, uh, two different relative entity of its cause and condition. Because of that, you know, uh, results similar to the cause. Suffering, then it was a results cause similar to the result. If it is suffering experiences, then it has to have a similar causes, the negativities which are the cause. If happiness experiences, then it has to have the similar causes, that which are the virtue. You see, so only in the ultimate, then it's one essence. So now, as I place my mind on the truth in total equipoise, you see, so I'm not, after doing all the analysis, giving all the different reasons as discussed before, then, we should train ourselves to bring our mind on the meditative equipoise on emptiness. Then what is there that retain definite appearances? Then there you can able to, find there's no retain of definite appearances. There you also cannot find what exists, what do not exist. Everything comes in the absolute essence of the one void. What is there anywhere, or it is not. Even either on the subject or on the object, nothing that you can able to conclude. There's this is absolute. This is absolute of that. That is absolute of this. Nothing that you can pinpoint. You see, everything completely, conclude in the absolute void of any relative, absolute void of any relatively existing, absolute void of any relatively existing, the way how we relatively apprehend it. You see, so by so this will be impact, or after oneself diligently first study of the emptiness, then contemplate. Even on the earlier verses, give a very clear understanding in relation to how relatives are how how things exist relatively, how things exist interdependently, and on the basis of the understanding of the relative truth and interdependent arising, you very much come to understanding of what absolute truth is, which is nothing more than the void of uh, any inherent existence. Uh, so through that training, then you gain the wisdom of meditation on analytical analytical meditation on emptiness, and that wisdom you bring as an object of your meditative equipoise. So the more you remain in that, the more uh, the more realize that you become to actualizing the absolute reality of existence, which is the direct realization on emptiness in every single phenomena, self and rest of the phenomena. Verse 115: there's no object, no subject, no ultimate nature of things, free of all ethical norms and conceptual elaboration. If I abide naturally with this uncontrived awareness, in the ever-present innate state, I will become great beings. So, the way to meditate, you see, there's no inherent subject, there's no inherent object, there's no inherent subject, and there's no inherent, no ultimate nature of things. Uh, free of, there's no ultimate, ethical norm, no there's ultimate, conceptual, inherent elaborations. On the basis of that understanding, if I abide naturally with this uncontrived awareness, uncontrived awareness of voidness, of absolute, lacking of inherent, absolute void of inherent or substantial existence, both in subject and object, then in the ever present, if you remain in that, if you continue to remain in that, in your meditative, innate state, then without any doubt, one will become great being. So great being is meaning here it's Arya being. Then you will realize emptiness directly. So in another word, how do you realize emptiness directly? How do you become Arya being? We all want to realize emptiness directly, isn't it? That's why we study emptiness. So, the process is, through the three wisdom, wisdom of correct learning on the Pasangika's view, the middle way view, the emptiness that which, emptiness which by overcoming two extreme, by negating the this most subtle negation, which is the substantial existence, substantial existence. So by negating the substantial existence, which is the most subtle negation, which is the negation, which is the false false view by the Sautrantika Madhyamika. Then by negating that, then you become, you assert the view of the Pasangika, which is the middle way view. Then so learning exactly what the negation is, which is this substantial existence, which is the false view asserted by Pasangika. What was it? Which is asserted by the Sautrantika, Sautrantika Madhyamika, holding, learning exact viewpoint of the Pasangika Madhyamika, which is the view of lack of intrinsic existence or substantial existence or inherent existence, then that also understand meaning of voidness of inherent existence in the meaning of interdependent arising, the meaning of interdependent arising in the meaning of voidness of inherent existence. Uh, on the basis of this learning, then you try to you progress in the analytical study, analytical development, using all the reasoning, how relative things exist, how interdependently exist, how in actual absolute existence really lies on. So much contemplation, then you come to a progress of meditation. So so after meditating, as like what it says in the verse 115, then that meditation on emptiness ever present in the very deep innate state, then this is the way how you lead yourself to actualize the direct perceptions on emptiness, to achieve the path of seeing. Yeah. So then the verse 116 is the dedication verse. Thus by practicing conventional awakening mind and the ultimate mind of awakening, may I accomplish without obstacle the true accumulations and realize perfect ultimate of the two aims. So by throughout the will of sharp weapon, very much the main subject is on altruism, the conventional altruism and ultimate altruism. So therefore, by practicing the conventional awakening mind, bodhicitta, ultimate mind of awakening, the emptiness wisdom, may I accomplish. May this learning, may the merit that accumulated through this discourse, may I accomplish. You see, for here, Dhammarakshita, the making this prayer, through the practice of this to awakening mind, I accomplish without obstacle the true accumulations, merit of method, merit of wisdom, then realize the perfect fulfillment of the true aim. The perfect fulfillment of true aim is the Buddha's wisdom body and Buddha's form body. So in another way, Dhammarakshita, how he made prayer for himself, we too, make the similar prayer that through the learning of this teaching on awakening bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta, conventional bodhicitta, ultimate bodhicitta, may this become a cause of, completing the two type of merit, and may this be the complete cause for us to actualize full enlightenment, the two bodies of the Buddha. Okay, so that complete all the verses of the will of sharp weapon. So I will read the column. So this text entitled "The Will of Sharp Will Weapon Striking at the Vital Point of the Enemy" was composed by the great Dhammarakshita, a yogic of scriptural knowledge, reasoning, and realization in accordance with the instructions of the sublime teachers. He composed this in the jungle where terrifying animals of prey roam free, and undertook its practice in the terrifying jungle of our degenerated era. He gave this teaching to Atisha, who, in order to transform many sentient beings so difficult to tame, undertook this practice throughout all places where sentient beings lie, whether in cardinal or intermediate directions. As he experienced the realizations of this practice, he uttered the following line. So this is Atisha have expressed. When I renounced my kingdom and practiced austerity, I accumulated merit and met with my supreme teacher. He revealed to me this sublime Dharma nectar and initiated me into it. Having mastered the antidote today, I commit the word to my heart. By casting wide my intelligence free of prejudice upon a detailed study of diverse doctrinal system, I have witnessed immeasurable wonders. But I have found this teaching most helpful to our degenerated age. So, like what Atisha said, I think we also can understand that, and we also express that, how Atisha expressed in his heart. We also try to express. Maybe at this stage, we may not able to really feel how fortunate we are, to able to meet this Dharma and to able to go through this treasured Dharma. But then after some time, when we end the class, after some time, you just glance through the text again or try to recall, of throughout these teachings, and in particularly when times are difficult in our life, try to relate, try to open the text again and try to refresh, our memories, throughout the classes. Then you may able to feel, what Atisha is expressing here, like that. From among his countless disciples in India and Tibet, Atisha bestowed this. So this is just same from the column. From among these countless disciples in India and Tibet, from among his countless disciples in India and Tibet, Atisha bestowed this teaching to the most qualified vessel, Upasaka, Domtamba, who was prophesied by many meditation deities such as Bhagavati Tara. This teaching was given to help tame the hardened people of Tibet and land outside the bounds of civilization. The father conqueror Atisha and his son Domdamba themselves acted as the scholar and translator of this text. Atisha gave this teaching to Domdamba, who then transmitted it to Podowa, and then in line order to Sharawa, Chekawa, Chibuwa, Lhachembo, Lhadove Gombo, Ojoba, Kembo Martin, Kembo Sherab Dorje, Buddharadna, Kirtisila, Gyalwe Sangbo, Nup Chonglungba, Sonam Rinchen, and he to myself, Shunu Jalchok Koncho Beng, who compile everything together. So this belongs to the cycle of Dhammarakshita's mind training teaching. Okay, so we have completed the brief kind of commentary. There are many different type of commentaries. Many different type of commentaries. So this is very much a mix of everything. So today we complete the Well of Sharp Weapon. I have taught this teaching numerous times in the past, and I think this time I think able to spend more time to go through more detail. Is not the most detail, but at least comparing my earlier discourses on Well of Sharp Weapon, this was more detailed than that. But still, it can go many more detailed than this. But I think for the time, I think this is okay. Yeah. So thank you very much for everyone for your patience, for your concentration. To try to grab my mumbling, confusing way of presentations, patience towards my distractions and sometimes bit lengthy sessions. So I also would like to take the opportunity to thank the FPMD national office, Stephanie and Peter, especially Stephanie, who every single session, who organized the program, who send a reminder to everyone who is interested for the teaching, and who archive all the recordings and on YouTube, so that many people in the future, those whose karmas are ripened, can able to refer to. You see, so even though Stephanie, herself, there's so much things going on that she need to handle, with so many other responsibilities. The center works, family responsibilities, etc. But she diligently, tirelessly put effort to keep up. And even though time kind of disappeared, like just happened this yesterday and today, but in fact, we went through, this series of teaching for more than a year, quite steadily. So therefore, sincerely, on behalf of everyone, I thank to Stephanie and Peter and all the Australian FPMD centers, directors, and SPCs, study groups, and directors, SPCs, then individual students, who put so much effort to attend the classes. Is not a easy thing for you all. You have family members, responsibilities, so many responsibilities, but still you try to find time to attend the class, even unable to attend, but at least go through the recordings. So I have received a lot of emails and messages that people have expressed, that they are paying attention to the teaching, and they feel that there's a benefit. So I thank for all your effort, and also I receive amazing, inspiring letters from FPMD National Australia office, and also to the some centers and study groups, and some individuals, who encourage me to continue to go through this series of Lojong teaching. Initially, for about a week ago, I thought that maybe you start to feel bored of seeing my face and hearing my mumblings, So I thought maybe it's time to give a break and liberate you. Maybe I thought it's time to liberate you from me. And also, as I mentioned before, that it is much effort from you. It's not easy, So therefore, I thought maybe you may need a break. So that I mentioned this to Stephanie. How about we take a break? from my side, I'm most happy, and always rejoice and delighted to continue if I can be little help, little, spiritual support to those who put effort to relate to these teachings. I'm most happy. Uh, but at the same time, I really did concern about you people's time, etc. So, but here, I now I got a very clear understanding that all of you still want to continue, and uh, so we're going to resume from uh, 11th of July. So one day before the school holiday ends, I think. So 11th of July, we will resume. We will go through this series of Lojong teaching from the same volume. So the next topic will be the peacock's neutralizing of poison attribute to Dhammarakshita. Yeah. So 11th of July. So see you then. But before that, I think we have a question answer or kind of open conversation session on 27, I think, next Sunday. So those of you are coming there, then we see you there. So there you can bring whatever questions that you have, not necessarily related to the series of teaching. Any question, just feel free, feel easy to ask. So I will see you on the question answer day. Okay. So thank you very much. So we do short dedication. So may whatever merit that we accumulate individually or collectively through this session, and all the merit that we accumulated through all the past Lojong teachings, and all the merits and virtue accumulated in the past, present, and going to accumulate in the future, and also all the merits and virtues accumulated by past, present, and future Buddhas, gurus. May this collective merit be complete cause for each and every single numberless sentient beings to be free from even the slightest form of suffering and actualize from temporary happiness up to the ultimate happiness of enlightenment. May this collective merit be complete cause for this pandemic to be overcome, right now. May all the cure, the vaccine be most effective, and everyone, be free from all these difficulties. May this collective merit be complete cause for all the frontliners, caretakers for any needy ones. May they be healthy, happy, long life, and equipped with all the protections, and care for them so that they can able to care for all the needy ones. May this quality merit be complete cause. Anyone that who requested prayers, those who are sick, like such as Geshe Tinle, then also there are some sanghas in India, in Nepal, who are still suffering from COVID. Then Madam Chenmei Larang, Judy Wakeford, Nga Sen Hai, Donna Bat, Go Kim Seng, Nima, Rachel, Miles, then Chuda Pat, Lau Tam Matat, Wang Tai Tai, Xing Xing Han, Peggy Batch and Bert Batch, Rogini Tevi Kularanam, Meda Atham Kro, etc. Then Medan Tanyo Ho, Jill Mohan, Chung Tong Hua, Lim Chin Ye, Chong Lai Peng, Mr. Chi Lam Kun, Caroline, Dr. Lee, Julie Kwan, Wong Chung Ru, Chris Price, David, etc., and anyone that who requested prayer from our gurus, who requested prayer from you, and anyone or any even animals, so whoever we know that they are in needs of prayer supports, meritorious supports. So we dedicate this collective merit for them to overcome all the difficulties, whether to do with the health or anything that they are suffering from, to overcome. May they actualize perfect health, long life, happiness, full of virtue, and fulfill all their aspirations accordingly. And also dedicate this merit to anyone that who passed away, in particular in last 49 days, um, like Leslie Spring, Max McDowell, and the three Saraje Tsawakamzen Sangha who passed away also from COVID just last few days. Then Anilosa Samtu, Si Kwang, Edward Liu, Irene Singh, Juan Ho Dip, Tam Chi On, Olivia, Shen Jiu Xing, Kenneth, Anastasia, Thomas Song Shan Xiong, Andrew Hans, Tan Te Cheng, Gerda, Yeo Chang Kwan, etc. Then anyone that who pass away due to COVID, who pass away due to any kind of reasons, may they be free from suffering of death, suffering in the middle state, suffering of rebirth. May they actualize higher rebirth, that they meet a perfect mind guru, and within that lifetime actualize state of full enlightenment. May this quality merit be complete cause for all the world leaders, leaders of organizations, institutions, leaders of the family, and yourself who lead your life free from negative emotions, and equipped with only full of compassion, loving kindness, altruism, and wisdom of selfless, so that anyone under your leadership can able to enjoy peace and happiness and virtues. May this quality merit be complete cause. All the good people in this world, like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Lama all these spiritual gurus, all the people who work for the peace and happiness of the world, and like yourself, your family members, all enjoy perfect health, long life, fulfill all your aspirations accordingly. May this quality merit be a complete cause. All the virtuous institutions in the world, like nunneries and monasteries, Dharma centers, virtuous centers, like all the FPMD centers, all the FPMD Australian centers and study groups and projects, then national office, be free from all the inner outer secret obstacles, actualize all the conducive conditions to preserve the Buddha Dharma perfectly, most in extensive learning and realization on all stages of the path accordingly, and most importantly, fulfill the aspirations and the visions of the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and the gurus, accordingly, for the benefit of numberless sentient beings, enlightenment. May this collective merit be complete cause for each and every one of us, able to, practice, able to live a life according with the Lojong instructions, Lojong teachings, like the example of Lama Atisha, Dhammarashita, etc. May our life be most meaningful, may be able to actualize the two accumulations of merit of method, merit wisdom, and maybe quickly, without delaying, quickly actualize the two aims of the two altruism, which is the Buddha's wisdom body and the form body, and may we ever be beneficial for the well-being of numberless sentient beings. Then the dedicator ourselves, the merit and the reason that we dedicate all lies in the nature of lack of inherent existence. All exists in the nature of interdependent arising. So therefore, whatever prayers and practices that we do never be wasted. All will be actualized because we create the dependent conducive causes for that. Jewa de nyodo dan lama sanje dubyo ne dowa je ma le ba de sa la go ba ra yo janjo semjo rimbo je ma je panam je jo je jewa nyen ba me ba yang go ne gon do be wa ra yo Tony dawa rimbo je ma je panam je jo je jewa nyen ba me ba yang go ne gon do be wa ra yo rimye dawa rimbo je ma je panam je jo je jewa nyen ba me ba Kone gondo pewara isho pama simje damje tenda tenjo jingen ro damje tato dungwa da janjo semba kana sojo bate da kunje molam do gyoro eje. Jambe bawe je da jemba da kondo zambo tenyan de jinje de da kunje jeso dalo je jawa de da damje rabdo ngo de son shepe jawa damje de ngo wa kana chodo nga bate da je jewe zawa de kunja. Zambo jeje rabdo ngo warai je simje ne ba jinye ba nyu do ne le ta ju ju do ne ma le ba ta do ju wa me ba rai jo be dan zo wa mi ge be je no wo ba zam je simje re wa gun je be sam ba je je de ta je jo ga re ra we ko we shin gam de pen dan de wa ma le ju we ne je re se wa den zin ja zo ye sha be se de ba do den ju ji to zo jan je jang go ja we de zin jo be be ko zo do bo je jo zo go we le me to do ba da zo de je gun do Shabden jo chuzo name guze rabden je namga tele jo jo jemba da losan tembe drume sazon ji drume mute da do jenjuro je kewa gundu yanda lama da chame chi ji pe la long jo je sa da lam je yonde rab zo ne do je chan je gomba nyu do jo Chomden de jen jaba da jomba yanda ba zo be san je nama na zo je jaba la cha zo lo jen jo san ba je mo kundo san ba la cha zo lo da ya da om ben za de awa bu da ni zo om do ro za ya mo je zo da ya da om ben za de awa bu da ni om do ro za ya mo je zo da ya da om ben za de awa bu da ni zo om do ro za ya mo je zo da ya da om ben za de awa bu da ni zo om do ro za ya mo je zo da ya da om ben za de awa bu da ni zo om do ro za ya mo je大家都本着调不的那种的这样不就说大家都本着调不的那种的这样不就说大家都本着调不的那种的这样不就大家都本着调不的那种的这样不就说准备的这把大家么样的把这边事情我他妈那大家都这边要不那下子咯没就这些家园进来的等着龙啊没别的嘛大家拉上大别的呢那么没那个周不就电报机电工作全把它电报你微信多少万也电在不老心多的嘛。电报有人那边大起就你们得来真的来，你们过样得来，你在大都得来边工作送接大起就。Okay, thank you very much. Take care. Sorry for late. Sorry for taking much of your time. Take care. Bye bye. See you.